Designed with you in mind, SDAR and SDMLS provides you with access to a robust ecosystem of tools, benefits, and products. In this training video, we will cover the basics of zipForms, including the dashboard and creating and applying templates. This training is not intended to be a substitute for the advice of your broker, nor that of your attorney. Our instructor for this video is Kevin Burke. Let's get started.
There are a lot of ways to get to zipForms, but probably my favorite way is to go to the San Diego Association of Realtors website. So I have logged in already. The first thing that I want you to do, the most important thing, is I want you to go up here. Look at that handsome guy, right? My high school photo. I guess it can't because it's gray. I'm going to click on the little link that talks about me, okay? And under me, you can see all this information. Well, this is information that was auto-populated by the membership. Here where my picture is, you just click on it if you want to change your picture. You should have your picture up there, folks, right? I mean, listen, we want to be branding you. You know, the big companies that we all work for or have worked for in the past have spent an awful lot of money trying to brand themselves. I want people 10 years from now to remember you. Okay, so let's make it happen, and let's get started on it now. All right. So I just want to make sure you can see that screen. Okay, good. So here's what I'm going to do over here: profile and settings. I'm going to click on profile and settings. Here, this is the all about me page, and you can see I've got some headings up here that I'm going to hit one at a time. Under the first section about me, I've got my username. Remember, if I change any of these things, I might be changing my login. I've got my phone number in there. I don't give out my cell phone number, so I use my office number. My agent license number is going to be 01000175. DRE requires it. Down here, the most important thing for you to be doing, you see right here where it says email signature line? Okay, I want you to check this box. I want you to hit that drop down. Remember that the DRE requires that you have your DRE number, your affiliation with a brokerage in your signature line. They consider zipForms to be first contact. So when you're first getting a hold of they think it's the first time you've talked to the client is when you send them a form. I'm not sure if I agree, but listen, I'm not going to argue with them, right? So you'll notice there's nothing in mine, but the reason there's nothing in mine is because we use the broker version, okay? So you need to have see at least your name as it appears on your license, your DRE number. I would probably add your broker's DRE number as well. Remember that if you are affiliated with a broker, you need to show that affiliation in there. That's going to be an NAR code of ethics issue as well as a DRE issue if you don't include that in your signature line. So, all right, but email signature line, critically important. Need the corporate DRE number and our personal number. I would put both. Much like on our forms in zipForms, we have places for both. I would put both. Sign in and security, two-factor authentication. That's if you think, the DRE has said to us that if you know that your account has been compromised, then you need to fix that, okay? If you continue to use it, that includes Dropbox, those other programs. If you continue to use it, knowing that it's compromised, then that's going to be a disciplinary item. Mobile number, again, if you want it in there, email if you want it in there. Whatever you put in here will apply to new transactions. So if you're, some people have said to me, well, I changed companies and the old company's information is still down at the bottom of the page. This is the place where you go to fix that. But here's the deal. Your TC should not be using your username and password. It's a violation. But both in the MLS and in zipForms, they will give you an assistance account. Okay, so your assistant will have their own username and password to get in. DAR, your TC, your assistant, can have their own username and password to log in. They don't have to be realtors. They can have their own username and password to log in. They've got a separate fee that they're going to pay for. Okay, how do you get an account for an assistant? You call 858-715-8040 and get them an account, and they'll sign up for it. Please don't share usernames and passwords with people. So remember, your offices, you need to make sure your stuff is current, okay? Make sure you got your office address in there. Certainly make sure your company name is in there, your affiliation is in there. I'm going to click on forms. These are all the forms that are available to you. I'm a member in several states, so I actually have access to more forms than you're probably going to see. But all that this page does is allow me to shift them around on where they're going to show up on my screen when I log in. Okay, so for example, I've got the California Association of Realtors forms up top because that's where I am, and then I have the San Diego Risk Management forms in there second because that's the probably I use most all the forms in that file. All that the organize button does when I click on it is allow me to move things around in here. That's all. Folks, let me tell you a little word of advice. I wouldn't go changing any of these colors. I've done it. And when I did it, I ended up not being able to see the information I was typing on the screen. Products. Okay, so here's the different acronyms for things. So we have Digital Ink subscription on this account. I have DocuSign in the broker version. We're actually going to get rid of DocuSign. We're actually going to stay with Digital Ink. I teach both products and have for decades, but the Digital Ink, the new one that is out, Digital Ink is actually now AuthentiSign. And AuthentiSign is a program owned by Lone Wolf. And AuthentiSign 2 is actually a pretty good program. So you might want to take a look at that program, and I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. So this just tells you the products. You have, with the zipForms account, you automatically have a ZipVault account. People say, well, what do you mean ZipVault? Well, that's the place that saves your transactions for you. Okay, you have unlimited space in there, but people say, well, how do I get in there? Well, you got to go into a transaction to get in there. It's created when you create a transaction. So each transaction will have its own ZipVault account associated with it. So when I tell you that zipForms is going to shred your file in 5 years if you don't touch it, that's what it does. It shreds it in ZipVault. ZipVault has a program that if you don't touch something for 5 years, it's going to shred it. And frankly, as with non-legal advice here, you might not want that file in 5 years, right? Statute of limitations, 3 years, for fraud, 3 years from date of discovery. So big picture, okay? But remember, if you're going to get sued on something, you're going to get sued on a disclosure thing. So what you should probably be doing is saving your transactions off-site, putting them on the cloud or something so that you have those for later. But I would probably be saving the disclosures. I don't know if I'd be saving the entire transaction, but remember your broker already has a responsibility to do that. TMS, if you're using it, Transaction Management System, not a bad program. Not as robust as some of the others that are on the market, but certainly something good to work with. You've got zipForm 6 Standard available to you. That's the desktop version of things. I would recommend, probably not going to be a high usage item except if you're in an area with really slow internet, okay? Mobile edition comes with a package. You get that for sure. So we want to make sure that you're using that as well, okay? So let me go back up to the top now. I'm going to click on my settings. Another important button. There's my Digital Ink 2.0 powered by AuthentiSign. So in the CAR version of this, I have that as the program. I have it set up to go to the dashboard. I just like seeing that when I turn it on. I like the 15 seconds is the, well, I can go to 5. Okay, so I like auto save. Just remember, sometimes it causes your slow down your internet. Then I have on for high global navigation bar while in the templates because I don't need it then. Automatically check PDF documents for data to be imported into a transaction. I've got that off. I don't need a constant reminder. Template preferences, I absolutely check that. Because I want it to import the template whenever I use it. And I'm going to show you again in a minute. I'm going to show you how to create a template, and then I'm going to show you how to use it. And yeah, I absolutely want the broker and the agent's information in there, right? Because that's, DRE says we got to have that. Notice I've got in here the default interest rate at 5. I'm going to go ahead and change it to 4. I don't know what interest rates are, right? I don't do loans, but that's going to automatically load for me in the program. If you've got Zapier, hey, you know what? Pretty good program. I don't use it. You can link to other accounts and other editions and things like that. Moving services. Okay, let me talk to you about Updater. Updater is a cool little program. What Updater does is it will contact, when you create a transaction, it will start a ticker in the transaction to contact your client at sale to remind them to turn on utilities. It gives them all the information. It's a pretty interesting program. I like the program. I just don't like the constant updates and reminders. So I've turned it off for my purposes, but I think You know, if you haven't tried it, I think it's a pretty good one. I'm not sure. I think the first one or two are free, and then after that, they charge you $6 million per use. I don't know. Chat logging, sure. I do like having chat conversations within zipForms, and here's why. The DRE has said that, again, we trust the zipForm program. So if you are doing your transactional information in zipForms and you're saving all of your stuff, now you only have one place to go and everything is in there. So I like emailing out of from within zipForms, things like that. I click on my notification settings. So whichever ones I have checked in here, you might want to think about doing the same thing. I like the email notification, but I don't also need the in-app notification. I one or the other, and I'm on my email all the time. Send notification 2 days before, 2 days after. Send it until its due date. Doc Inbox, neat program. I like it. Your client can send emails into the program. They can use either a fax or scan it or whatever. I can tell you it's probably a little more complicated for most of my clients. Transaction email notifications, documents, certainly. I do want to know when things show up, when they've signed stuff. I like the fact that when I turn off DocuSign, digital ink, well, turning off DocuSign isn't going to impact my transaction, because what I do is I have the signed documents automatically brought into the program. And so if I have the documents automatically signed in there, when I turn off DocuSign, it won't matter, because I've already got it all saved in my program, okay? Email notification for sharing. I like sharing. Sharing is good. I'd rather do it within the program because I'm going to have this feature in there called history that I'm going to show you. E-signature in-app, absolutely. Preferences, I put in the zip code 25 miles if you want to do that. If you're using List Flash, if you're using it at all. Of course, I tell it, don't email me. I don't want to know. But I think I checked that box the last time. Here, we'll check that, and I'll let you know how that goes. Anyway, I certainly don't want emails every 6 hours. Again, send retention notification. So a retention notification, remember what I said earlier, we're going to scrub your file. We're going to delete it. If you haven't touched it in 5 years, we're going to shred it. We can't get it back. Okay, so be aware of that. But again, you may not want it, right? But all you got to do, if you're really concerned about it, is save it off of zipForms on, in someplace else, or open the transaction. You can go through your files and open them up every 5 years. Okay, and then finally, my assistant transaction coordinator. Save my changes. Transaction coordinator, I can go ahead in here. I think it was Carol. I can invite a new transaction coordinator, and yes, they're going to charge you for it. But then they're going to try to sell you other stuff. So that's what that's all about. So I'm going to close that, and that's going to take me back to this original landing page. And again, you all might be familiar with the old layout, which is what this one was. So a little bit different, or I can go ahead and try the new one again if that's what you're doing. Let's go ahead. I want to create a new transaction. And in doing this, so pay attention, because in doing this, I'm going to show you how to create a template. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a new transaction. I'm going to create new. Now, this is CAR's attempt to start a template for you. I'm going to call it a new purchase offer. You notice I have new listing, new purchase offer, new lease. The goal is at some point down the line, they're going to try to add more and more to this template. So I'm going to go over in here and I'm going to click on new purchaser offer. And it's going to spin a little bit. And then I'm going to go up here and somebody had a question. So I'm going to give it a name. All right. So this is what we call a naming convention. I don't know how many transactions you're planning on doing, but you want to be able to find them again. So what we do is we put the name of the buyer, for example. This is a buyer. So we put Bob. Let's make it his last name. So buyer Bob. Okay, and then the property will be, and I just used 123 Camino. Okay, let's just call it that. So we usually put an amalgamation of the street address in there as well. Now here's where this goes. This shows up on the bottom right-hand corner of the first page of your forms. So be nice. So notice in here, I can put in my MLS Connect if I already own the property, or if I already have the property that I'm going to be doing. And somebody asked me about that earlier, saying it wasn't working. So notice when I pull up my MLS Connect, I get Bright and I get SDPN. In my broker version, we're members of several MLSs around the state, so I'll have different options available. So they're SDMLS ISPN is the name of your MLS service in San Diego. So if you don't check that button, you're going to get no result, okay? Because you're not a member of the others. Down here, residential, I'm either going to be residential or I'm going to be 2 to 4s or lots and land. And doesn't this look familiar? Doesn't this look like your MLS, right? Your MLS has those same categories. Then I got to put in the MLS ID number, whatever that number is. Okay, make sure you have that right. I always include the photo because the client is going to be sharing with me later, and I want to constantly remind them of the point behind why we're doing all this. And then I'll click on find, and I'm going to get an error message because it says there's no such listing number. Okay, if you've got that listing number, God love you. Okay, it'll pull it up. Once I've hit find, it'll pull it up, and then I'll just click on use listing. Okay, all right. So I'm going to cancel that. Here I'm going to click on residential, because I like residential, okay, all right, and then down here, active, and then in here, my templates. Well, here are templates that I've created in the past, the templates for everything. I'm a big template guy, and then let me get out of that. Gosh, now what have I done? Okay, I can also have it automatically apply, and again, the admin would do that, and if it's your account, you're the admin, so I can automatically apply one of these templates to my transaction, okay? So I've got what I need. I got the name. I've got check the box. It's an active transaction. I'm going to click save. So now I'm in a transaction, okay? This is the fun part, right? So let me tell you about a couple of things in here that you are never going to use, all right? So your summary, it's going to load to this page. I don't think you can change that. I'm pretty positive we made it so you can't, because we want you getting there all the time. Here's my drop down. This is where I can go in and change things to the transaction. Oh, there's my forms advisor and my forms tutor. So if I don't know what forms to use, I'm probably going to click on forms advisor, okay? I can look at my transaction details, which is going to take me back to that screen I had before. It's a purchase, okay? Everybody got that? So I might change it to, something else. I might change it to, fell through or something like that. I can email into the transaction. My clients can email into the transaction. I can copy the transaction. I loved what I did so much. I want to copy it and use it again. Be very careful with that. Make sure that if you are copying a transaction that you just loved that you did and you didn't save it as a template and you copy it and we have changed the forms, remember that it will not update your forms. I save as template button. We're going to come back to that. Okay, so I can import it from an archive. You're never going to use this. Delete, it's in red. Very sparingly, folks. Be careful about using the delete key. Again, if you hit the delete key, it goes away and we can't get it back. So it's gone. So I tell people instead of deleting it, I would save it as an inactive transaction. Lock it. You're not going to use that unless you're trying to keep your TC out of it. Form versions, you're never going to use it. Send it to another system. Okay. So there's other places that you can send it. You're never going to use this. See, that's why. Net sheets available. Transaction fax cover. You're still going to work. I know people don't know what a fax machine is. Okay. It came in and went out all during my watch. There are people that still use it. So, okay, up here across the top, summary. This is my summary page. Tells me who everybody is. If I want to change any of this information, I'm going to probably do it. I can do it here. I can put in the MLS number, whatever. Parties to the transaction. I kind of like that, but I'm going to tell you the easy shortcut. So here's the parties that we have. The easy shortcut to that is to go to documents. And I like documents because under documents, I'm going to go to my cover sheet. And whatever I put in the cover sheet populates the rest of the transaction. Checklist, it's a good product. It's pretty basic. They're working on it. Notes, probably in your best interest to be taking notes during a transaction, whether it's an email memorializing a telephone conversation or stuff like that. You can text with people, but when it's business, you want to make sure it's an email, something that you can document, something you can load up into the file, okay? All right, history. I like history, folks. Why? Here's why. Everything I do inside this transaction, everything I do shows up in here. It's going to be pages and pages and pages long. Here, I created it. Here, the template, advanced seller listing template was automatically applied. The buyer offer template was automatically applied. It tells me everything I've done. And by the way, every email that I send out of this program, and I'm going to show you in a second how to do that. Let me take you back over here to documents really quick. So this is the fast way to do this. So I'm under documents. I'm going to go down here to cover sheet. And when I get into cover sheet, I'm going to tell you to do this one time. Don't fill out buyer, don't fill out seller yet. go in here. I put in San Diego because my transactions are going to be in San Diego. I put in the escrow company that we were using. I even look up their escrow number. I put in my information. Here's my information. There's my DRE number. There's my corporate DRE number. Okay. So I put all that information in there because I'm going to say this is a template. All right. I use property ID. I'm going to say this as a template. So I don't want to put in stuff that's personal to any one transaction. Okay. And then of course I can go up here to my forms. I can click on other documents and things like that. So when I click on the purchase agreement, it's going to pull up the, again, this is under transactions. I had one of our agents, and I love him dearly, but I was looking through one of his files, and he was using forms that didn't exist anymore. And it's like, do you update your stuff? And so I had to do a little quick mini class. See, you look here, San Diego filled in for me already. So when I create my template, then I'm going to use it later on to create a transaction using the template. And I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute. Okay, so let me get out of this part of it really quick. I'm going to hit the back button. I want to show you what all these things do. So that was my cover sheet. I want to fill in the general information. Remember, I'm heading towards a template now. Okay, and from in here, I can e-sign things. I can send them out for electronic signature. I can share them. I really like that feature. Okay, I can use MLS Connect from in here. And so I've already created a transaction. So add document in case I want to add a document to something I have saved, like a pre-approval letter. So I browse for the document. It'll take me up into my program. And from there, I'm going to go ahead and pull up whatever document I'm going to need. I'm going to cancel that. And then another question. Can you rearrange the forms on the templates so the ones that are going with the offer be on top? Absolutely. Good question. Okay, how do I do that? See here, organize. Click on organize. Now I can move them around. Watch. I want the listing agreement above the purchase agreement. Boom. Done organizing. You just got to remember to hit done organizing. Okay. All right. So I can move them around all day long. I can add folders, and that's what we do. I can move things around. So like I can move this to another folder if I had a folder in there yet. I just haven't created it yet. Okay, I can apply my template. Oh, I love applying a template, right? Well, let's talk about that. What does my template look like? Look, I actually put dates on them. Okay, well, look, you can see how far back those were. So let me add in my buyer offer template. I'm going to hit apply, and it's going to say, are you sure? Well, of course I'm sure. Okay, and it'll apply all the forms for the buyer offer template. And so it's going to be quite a few forms. So I can print things. Print them. I don't know, printing like I print them to PDF sometimes. I can send things through either email or through the community or through my doc inbox. I can save them as a PDF. I can download them. I can preview them. And then finally over in here, danger, Will Robinson, right down over here, I can delete things. I wouldn't delete things. If you're going to do anything, just put them someplace where you can get back to them later, and never, ever delete anything signed by a party, okay? So that being said, so now I've created let me go in here. I'm going to create a purchase really quick here. You have to ask yourself the question, what forms do you want in your template? So in here, I've got San Diego, I've got our company name. This is my buyer offer template. I created a mini template in here. It was a transaction, right? But I liked it so much that I want to save it as a template. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go back up into here, and I'm going to go hit this drop down, and remember that button, save it as a template. And I'm going to talk to you in a second about what to put in your template. And so what do we want to call the template? Remember, now it's a template, not a transaction anymore. Auto apply. Do I want to automatically apply it? No. Do I want to apply it to all purchase on residential transactions? Probably. Do I want to apply it to all new transactions? Probably not, right? I don't want to apply it to a listing, right? And then all these other things also go in there as well, okay? So that's the point behind all that. So now I've created the Buyer Bob 123 Camino. Did we save it as a template? Let's save it as a template. And I'm going to say save. Okay, so now I'm going to create a new transaction, and I want to use my template. Remember, if I click on templates, Buyer Bob template, there it is. Got it? So I don't want to use this because I'm just going to keep changing my template. So now I'm in transactions, and let's create a new offer using the Buyer Bob template. I'm going to create a new transaction now, and I'm going to call it a new purchase offer. And then we're going to give it a name, remember? So now it's a new transaction. And so I'm going to give it a name. Let's call it Let's move it up here and call it Nancy. Our new transaction is going to be residential. It's an active transaction. What template do I want to use? Where's my buyer Bob template? There it is right there. My personal template. I added the buyer Bob template. And now when I hit save, it'll create my transaction based on the template that I saved. Okay, so look at that, applying the template, auto applying template for purchase. And here I created a whole new transaction with, called Nancy. I go to my documents, and here come all the documents, right? All the ones that we had, that we created because we liked it so much, right? So remember, when you're creating a template, you want to make sure you only put in generic stuff. Create your template so it can be used across all transactions. Now, there's your forms and everything. Thank you all for being here, and I wish you the best. Take care for now.
Need more help? Contact SDAR Member Services at 858-715-8040 or membership@sdar.com.